Hello, everyone. My name is Abhishek Sadhani, and today I, along with Akshat Mehta, will be elaborating on how we can view the movie Murder on the Orient Express, released in 2017, directed by Kenneth Branagh, from the viewpoint of law of evidence. I shall firstly move forward on how the plot of the movie was, and basically what we like to call it as the diegesis of the movie. The lead character of the storyline is Hercule Poirot, a Belgian detective who is introduced with what may be called as his fascination for balance in life. He, along with his friend Bauk, boarded on the Orient Express. Now, it is pertinent to note that Bauk also happens to be the nephew of the director of the Orient Express, and he has also helped Hercule reserve a seat in the same, as he had some business in London. On board, Ratchet, whose true identity happens to be Cassetti, offers Hercule Poirot to protect him in exchange of heavy money. Now, this decision of Ratchet was followed by anonymous threats that he had been receiving on the train. Now, Ratchet, while discussing and making an offer to Poirot, disclosed that he had been dealing with fake antiques and he was new in that business, because of which he was subjected to all these anonymous threats. Now, Hercule outrightly refused his offer, and the same night, the train, the Orient Express, got derailed after being hit to an avalanche. Now, the morning that followed brought in the disclosure of the Ratchet's death to Hercule, who the night prior had witnessed some unusual movement in the deceased compartment. Now, upon primary investigation carried out by Hercule of the compartment, he got to know and he got hold of a letter, which, after some examination, turned out to link the murder after kidnapping case of the Armstrong household's daughter, Daisy, with the current murder of Ratchet. Now, following the Armstrong case, Mrs. Armstrong faced a miscarriage leading to the death of both the mother and the fetus, and Colonel John Armstrong, the husband of Mrs. Armstrong, who also happened to write a letter to Hercule seeking help in the case that his and the atrocities that his family had been facing, he commits a suicide. Now, apart from the letter that he got hold of, Mrs. Hubbard also confirmed to Hercule that there was some man in her compartment that night. Moreover, Hercule also found out a blood-stained handkerchief, which later becomes an important part of the investigation, as it had initials H written on it and also a conductor's uniform. Now, later, Miss Hubbard also gets stabbed at her back by some unidentified person at that particular point in time of the movie, who later happens to be Dr. Arbuthnot. Now, upon investigation and further conversations that Hercule has had with passengers on board, and uh, after various sorts of considering the evidences that were unfolding on the train, he was able to establish how each and every person on board of the Orient Express was somehow connected to the Armstrong case, which has already been mentioned by me before. Now, all of this was in such a manner that there could have been motive of each and every person to kill John Cassetti, who was as Ratchet in the train, who had boarded as Ratchet in the train. Now, finally, there is an attack that is faced by Hercule by Dr. Arbuthnot. Now, after that attack, Hercule gets a clear idea of what could be the basic closure to the murder mystery that whole movie is based upon. He then comes up with two various conclusions, either of which could be the scenario behind the murder mystery. Now, the first conclusion is based on the idea that a man, uh, disguised as the conductor of the Orient Express, enters the train and commissions the murder of Ratchet and flies away. Now, the second one, which happens to be a bit complex, as mentioned by Hercule himself, is that all the passengers on board the Orient Express have collectively commissioned the murder because they were driven by their individual motives, which had common link with the Armstrong case. Now, some of the linkages that are worth mentioning here is that McQueen, who was secretary to Ratchet, deceased, was originally the son of the attorney in Armstrong case, whose career was destroyed after the suicide commissioned by the innocent maid who was being falsely implicated with the charges of murdering Daisy and kidnapping Daisy. Now, Mrs. Hubbard was actually Linda Arden, mother of Sonia Armstrong and grandmother of Daisy Armstrong. Accordingly, each and every person on board Orient Express was somehow linked to the Armstrong case. This conclusion of Hercule was agreed to by Arden, and she confessed that she was the one who had planned the murder and got everyone to join the plan. Now, Hercule, in order to know whether or not all these people were killers at their heart, gave them a revolver, which was in actuality empty. He asked them to shoot him as he would not be able to hide the truth. As has been already mentioned about that, he was very much fascinated by balance in life. Now, Hubbard tries to commit suicide rather than killing Hercule with the revolver that had been given to her by Hercule himself. And Hercule, by this, realizes how that all the people who were included in the murder mystery and who later confessed that yes, they had committed the murder were not killers at their heart, and no one deserved to go in jail. Accordingly, he presented first conclusion before the police after arriving at the next station, which was as per the schedule of the Orient Express. Now, this is basically the plot of the movie, and later, now this will be followed by the analysis by Akshat Mehta.
Hello everyone, I hope you all are safe and healthy. And today we are doing an analysis of the movie Murder on the Orient Express. The movie is based on the novel written by Agatha Christie, and the movie was the novel was adapted in the movie format in 2017. So what we have done for this particular analysis is we have divided the movie as per the chronological events that had occurred in the movie, and we have analyzed that particular events from the perspective of law of evidence. So I will begin the analysis in the first thing through which we can understand how the law of evidence plays the role in the movie is the way the detective Hercule Poirot conducted the investigation. So when the Poirot got to know that a murder had occurred in the train, what he had done is he asked the the manager of the train, who was Mr. Bauk, to first check under the train if there was anyone hiding under the train. When he saw that no one was hiding under the train, he decided that the investigation would be limited to the coach in which the particular murder took place. Now, this is the exact rationale behind the Section 5 of the Indian Evidence Act. Indian Evidence Act is based on this particular maxim which you are seeing on your screen, which means that it would be frustrating to analyze and submit the facts which are irrelevant. So because the murder took place in a particular coach and there was no one under the train, or there were no other evidence which could be interpreted in the way that the murder took place somewhere else, the Poirot decided to limit the investigation in the particular coach. So this was how Section 5 played role in the particular scenario. Now, as we move forward, we come to know that how Section 7 played its role in the manner the Poirot conducted the investigation. So what Poirot did to determine the case was that Poirot took notice of the various facts which constituted the things under which the particular murder took place, and it also took notice of various things and the various incident which determined the occasion under which that particular murder took place. Now, this is the rationale behind the Section 7 of the Indian Evidence Act. So when the Poirot got to know that a murder had taken place on the coach, he went in the coach and he saw what is the situation of the body, what is the situation of the things in that particular coach. As you can see on the screen, there was a coffee mug in which there was a drug named Barbital, there was a handkerchief with initial H, there was a watch which was stopped at 1:15 am, there was a pipe cleaner, and there was a body of the victim on which there were 12 stabs which were found on the body. So Poirot took notice of these facts which constituted the occasion under which the murder took place. Now, this is how Section 7 played its role in the investigation which the Poirot conducted to determine the accused of to determine the crime. Now moving forward, we also get to know that section 18, section 8 and section 14 also played its role in the investigation which was conducted by the Poirot. So Poirot tried to determine the motive and the state of mind for the passengers who were on the train, and the Poirot also tried to determine how these passengers were related to the Armstrong tragedy. So for determining their motive and the state of mind, Poirot asks question about Armstrong tragedy, how they were related to how the passengers were related to Armstrong tragedy, how particular passenger replied when the Poirot asked questions about character of Ratchet, who was actually Cassady, who was related to Armstrong tragedy. So through this, Poirot tried to first determine their motive, and also he tried to determine the state of mind under which they perceived the character of Ratchet. So through which Poirot tried to understand if any passenger had the motive to kill Ratchet, or if they had the state of mind under which they could plan the murder of Ratchet, or they had any ill will against the Ratchet. Moving forward, we can also see that section 10 also played its role in the investigation which was conducted by the Poirot. So when the Poirot could reasonably establish that there could have been a conspiracy by all the passengers to kill the Ratchet, and the conspiracy could have relation with the Armstrong tragedy, so Poirot exactly conducted the investigation in the manner as the section 10 contemplates. So what Poirot did was, Poirot first tried to understand the conspiracy as to how all the passengers were related to the Armstrong tragedy, how they all had the motive to act against the Ratchet, and how they planned this conspiracy, and when the thought of conspiracy was first entertained by Linda Arden, who was mother of Sonia Armstrong. Then he analyzed the evidence based on that suspicion of conspiracy, that how everyone carried out the murder and how everyone executed the particular planning of the murder. So that is how section 10 played its part in the investigation conducted by Poirot. Moving forward, we also see how section 11 played its role in the investigation that was conducted by the Poirot. So section 11 is related to the plea of alibi. Plea of alibi is based on the Latin maxim, which means that the person who is alleged to be accused in the crime was somewhere else when the crime was happening. So when Poirot narrowed down the facts and he analyzed the evidence, he somewhere reached to the conclusion that the McQueen, who happened to be the secretary of the deceased Ratchet, was the person behind the crime. So when Poirot was asking McQueen about the crime, Dr. Arbuthnot, who was also one of the passengers on the train, came there and pleaded the alibi of the McQueen. He told Poirot that McQueen was with him till morning, they were having drinks and they were discussing the politics and other things. So this is how section 11, which is the plea of alibi, played its role in the investigation of the Poirot. However, one may take the notice of the fact that whenever in the actual scenario, whenever a alibi is pleaded in the court of law, the alibi is not accepted in the manner in which the Poirot accepted the alibi of Arbuthnot. So whenever a alibi is pleaded, it has to be corroborated with other evidences which are available for the case, and then only the court accepts the alibi. So the alibi is not accepted on its face value, which Poirot did. However, it also must be taken notice of that at the time when the Poirot accepted the alibi, he had no other corroborative evidence to analyze the alibi against those evidence. So whatever the Poirot did in that particular scene was correct as per the situation, but in the actual court of law, the alibis are not accepted in the way Poirot did. So moving forward, section 45 is also section 45 is also plays its role in the investigation of the Poirot. So when Poirot came to know that there was a murder, he called for Dr. Arbuthnot and he told Dr. Arbuthnot to have a look on the crime scene. So when Arbuthnot analyzed all the crime scenario and all the evidences, he came outside and he told the Poirot about the expected time of the death, about the expected situation of the victim at the time of murder. So in this particular scenario, Dr. Arbuthnot can be construed as medical expert. Moving forward, we can also see that how section 137 plays its role in the investigation of the Poirot. So section 137 talks about examination in chief, cross examination and re-examination. So examination in chief is done by the party who calls the witness and cross examination is done by the party who is adverse. So basically cross examination is done by the adverse party. In the examination in chief, the questions are limited to the relevant facts of the case, whereas in the cross examination, the adverse party can ask any question which he thinks it is related to the case. So this is exactly how Poirot conducted the investigation and asked questions to the passengers. So when he first examined the passengers, he only asked about their thoughts about Ratchet, their thoughts about Armstrong tragedy, and their general thoughts as to how they understood Ratchet and his character. But when the Poirot got to know everything and the Poirot established the alleged conspiracy, he asked passenger about the Armstrong tragedy, how they were related to the Armstrong tragedy, what business do they carried out in their respective places. So even though these facts are not related to the case of murder of Ratchet, they are somewhere related in determining the guilt of the passengers. This is exactly how the cross-examination is carried out in the movie. In the next part, we will analyze the conclusion of the movie and we will see what we can conclude from the analysis of the movie. Thank you so much.
Talking about the conclusion on the basis of the analysis that has been presented by us, we aim to present the idea that when the law of evidence, even if it is not enforced, the way and the manner in which an investigation is ought to proceed is absolutely driven by rationale and prudence. When we bring into consideration the scenario that has been portrayed in the movie, the investigation which is conducted by Hercule as per his prudence falls in complete alignment with the law of evidence in general and with Indian Evidence Act in particular. Thus, the analysis that has been made by us is an attempt to further and embolden the very firm assertion that the law of evidence indeed is a law based on prudence, and this investigation also conforms to the cardinal principles of law of evidence, which are nothing but rules of prudence as well. Thank you. We really hope that you enjoyed this video.